For decades, the bond between a legendary franchise and its most dedicated followers has been built on an unspoken foundation of mutual respect, a shared passion, and the promise of unforgettable experiences. Pop culture conventions have transformed from niche gatherings into massive global spectacles, where enthusiasts willingly spend their hard-earned money and travel hundreds of miles just to catch a glimpse of their childhood heroes. These massive gatherings are designed to be a sanctuary of shared imagination, a place where the barrier between the audience and the stars completely disappears, if only for a fleeting hour. In these crowded auditoriums, the atmospheric tension is always palpable as thousands of people gather, holding onto premium tickets that represent much more than just financial transactions. To the public, these passes are a gateway to once-in-a-lifetime interactions, a chance to hear exclusive behind-the-scenes stories, and an opportunity to celebrate the enduring legacies of characters who have fundamentally shaped modern cinematic history. The unspoken agreement between the high-profile guests on stage and the eager crowd in the seats is that, for the duration of the scheduled presentation, everyone is united in their dedication to the craft. It is this very expectation of absolute devotion that makes any sudden disruption feel incredibly jarring, casting a dark shadow over what was supposed to be a flawless weekend celebration. Before we dive deeper into the unexpected chain of events that completely altered the atmosphere of this massive gathering, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update on the biggest stories unfolding across the entertainment world. The setting for this recent controversy was the highly anticipated SpaceCon event, a massive 3-day celebration of science fiction and fantasy culture held at the historic Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Texas. As the weekend arrived, the local area was already buzzing with an undeniable, multi-layered energy, drawing thousands of diverse visitors from every corner of the country. The convention itself boasted an exceptionally star-studded lineup that promised to appeal to almost every major science fiction and action fandom imaginable. Prominent names from across the entertainment landscape were prominently featured on the promotional banners, with celebrities like John Cena, Tom Hiddleston, Tara Reid, Gillian Anderson, David Duchovny, and the iconic William Shatner all scheduled to make appearances. For local and traveling enthusiasts alike, the sheer concentration of talent under one roof made SpaceCon the ultimate destination for pop culture celebration. The venue was packed to capacity, filled with intricate cosplays, bustling merchandise booths, and lines of eager fans stretching across the convention floor. Among the many high-profile attractions, one specific panel stood out as the absolute crown jewel of the entire weekend schedule. This particular presentation brought together an extraordinary trio of legendary performers whose collective work forms the very backbone of a massive galactic mythology that has captivated audiences for generations. Sitting side by side on the elevated stage were Jimmy Smits, Ian McDiarmid, and the highly anticipated headliner, Hayden Christensen. The 45-year-old Vancouver, Canada native has spent decades portraying one of the most complex and tragic figures in cinematic history, Anakin Skywalker, a character whose dark transformation and eventual redemption have defined the overarching narrative of multiple Star Wars projects. For the attendees who filed into the main auditorium, seeing these three actors share a stage was supposed to be the ultimate highlight of their entire trip. Many had planned their weekend entirely around this specific hour, sacrificing time and navigating massive crowds just to secure a seat in the room. The financial investment required to witness this historic onstage reunion was substantial, as convention organizers had structured the event with multiple layers of premium pricing. To even gain basic access to this exclusive celebrity panel, attendees were required to pay an additional $100 fee on top of their standard convention admission tickets. For the most dedicated segments of the audience, the financial commitment did not stop there, as the event offered various tier-based opportunities to interact with the headlining star on a more personal level. The Canadian entertainer was charging $175 for a standard autograph on a basic photo, $225 for premium autographs on special collector items like action figures or custom memorabilia, and $210 for a brief professional photo opportunity. When factoring in travel expenses, lodging, and general admission, many families and individual collectors had spent upwards of several $100s specifically to share a memorable space with the actor who brought Darth Vader to life. The immense anticipation in the room created an atmosphere of pure excitement, with thousands of eyes locked onto the stage as the moderator introduced the iconic guests. However, the initial waves of applause and cheers would soon give way to an entirely different and unexpected collective emotion. The scheduled panel had barely gotten underway, with the actors just beginning to dive into their shared memories and reflections on the galactic saga, when an announcement from the stage completely altered the trajectory of the afternoon. Approximately 20 minutes into the highly anticipated presentation, Hayden Christensen addressed the massive crowd to deliver a sudden and highly unusual piece of news. The actor casually informed the stunned audience that he was going to cut his appearance short, explaining that he was going to try to catch the second half of the massive sporting event taking place right next door. The decisive Game 5 of the high-stakes NBA Finals between the hometown San Antonio Spurs and the visiting New York Knicks was scheduled for that very evening. And the allure of the historic championship matchup proved entirely too strong for the prominent Hollywood star to resist. As the words left his mouth, a wave of immediate confusion swept across the large auditorium, followed by a deeply divided and highly mixed reaction from the gathered crowd. A video clip captured by an attendee and subsequently uploaded to TikTok immortalized the exact moment the announcement was made, capturing a striking blend of disappointed groans, collective gasps, and scattered cheers from sports fans in the audience. The sudden departure left the remaining panelists to continue without their main headliner, completely shifting the dynamic on stage and leaving thousands of premium ticket holders processing a profound sense of abandonment. In the immediate aftermath of the early exit, eyewitnesses and attendees reported that the entire energy completely vanished from the room, leaving behind a palpable sense of frustration and disappointment that would quickly spill out into the broader public consciousness. The immediate aftermath of Hayden Christensen's abrupt 20-minute departure from the SpaceCon stage sent shockwaves throughout the convention center, transforming an atmosphere of joyful celebration into one of intense scrutiny and widespread frustration. For the thousands of fans who had gathered inside the Freeman Coliseum, the reality of the situation began to settle in as they looked at the newly emptied chair on the main stage. The initial confusion quickly solidified into a deep and palpable resentment, particularly among those who had sacrificed a significant portion of their personal savings to attend this exclusive weekend gathering. In the sprawling corridors of the convention venue, small groups of attendees huddled together, animatedly discussing the sheer audacity of a headline guest walking out on a premium presentation to attend a basketball game. The sense of disappointment was not merely confined to the physical space of the auditorium, as cell phones were pulled out, videos were reviewed, and the first waves of social media posts began to circulate online, carrying the negative energy of the room out to a massive global audience. Pop culture journalists and prominent attendees immediately began reaching out to eyewitnesses. And it did not take long for major entertainment news outlets like TMZ to establish a direct line of communication with the deeply disgruntled ticket holders. When speaking to reporters, numerous attendees openly expressed that they were incredibly upset by the casual and indifferent attitude the actor displayed when announcing his early exit. To them, the casual nature of his departure felt like a direct dismissal of their loyalty, their time, and the significant financial sacrifices they had made just to be in the same room with him. The contrast between the intense devotion of the Star Wars community and the Hollywood star's apparent eagerness to leave for a sporting event created a profound emotional rift that many felt was completely uncalled for. As the evening progressed, the public backlash grew exponentially, with the critical narrative shifting from simple disappointment to a much more severe condemnation of celebrity culture and modern convention pricing structures. One of the most vocal and scathing critiques came directly from the team behind the popular Now Playing podcast, who had been actively covering the events of SpaceCon on the ground in San Antonio. In a series of highly publicized posts on the social media platform X, formerly known as the platform Twitter, the podcast account directly called out the Canadian actor for what they firmly characterized as unmatched greed, an oversized ego, and an entirely unwarranted level of entitlement. The commentators emphasized that such behavior was particularly egregious when considering the explicit financial structure of the modern convention circuit, where every single interaction is heavily monetized. They argued that when an entertainer commands an extra $100 surcharge just for panel access, alongside staggering fees of $175 for standard autographs, $225 for premium items, and $210 for a brief photo opportunity. An absolute professional obligation is established between the performer and the paying audience. To completely abandon that obligation a mere 20 minutes into a highly anticipated premium panel was viewed by many critics as a textbook example of a wealthy elite prioritizing personal entertainment over the working-class people who fundamentally sustain their career and enduring popularity. While the heated debate raged across various digital platforms, confirmation of the actor's actual location arrived swiftly, adding massive amounts of fuel to the escalating public relations firestorm. The official social media account for the San Antonio Spurs posted a high-resolution photograph that instantly captured the attention of both sports enthusiasts and furious science fiction fans worldwide. The image featured a smiling Hayden Christensen standing inside the luxury concourse of the state-of-the-art Frost Bank Center, a massive sports and entertainment arena that happens to be situated directly adjacent to the Freeman Coliseum where SpaceCon was simultaneously taking place. In the widely circulated photograph, the prominent Hollywood entertainer was proudly holding up a custom gray San Antonio Spurs jersey, which had been specially printed to feature his own last name across the shoulders above the distinct number 26. The visual proof of his immediate presence at the basketball arena solidified the reality of his early exit, confirming to his frustrated followers that he had indeed chosen the thrill of live sports over the structured commitments of his professional convention appearance. The irony of the geographical proximity was not lost on the public, as the realization that their idol was merely a few hundred yards away, enjoying a premium courtside experience while they sat in a disrupted auditorium, served to intensify the growing public relations nightmare. The publication of the jersey photograph sparked a completely new and incredibly creative wave of internet commentary. As passionate basketball fans and dedicated Star Wars enthusiasts collided in the comment sections to dissect the unfolding situation through the lens of cinematic lore, New York Knicks fans, who were already experiencing an intense level of emotional investment due to the high-stakes nature of the ongoing championship series, wasted absolutely no time in integrating iconic galactic tropes to mock the actor's sporting allegiance. A massive wave of digital commentary quickly emerged, with sports enthusiasts pointing out that, just like his legendary on-screen persona of Anakin Skywalker in the cinematic universe, the actor had once again consciously chosen to align himself with the wrong side. The comment sections across X, Instagram, and TikTok became a battleground of witty pop culture references and basketball trash talk, as users expertly weaponized classic lines from the franchise to describe the sport's rivalry. One prominent fan wrote a highly shared post stating that the New York Knicks had successfully taken out the actor's legs just like Obi-Wan Kenobi did during their fateful duel, appending the trending hashtag #AlwaysKnicks to emphasize their unwavering team loyalty. Another highly active commentator remarked that the New York Knicks clearly held the high ground in this specific scenario, referencing one of the most famous and widely memed lines from the prequel trilogy to emphasize their team's competitive superiority over the hometown San Antonio Spurs. This unique fusion of sports culture and cinematic mythology allowed the controversy to transcend the traditional boundaries of standard entertainment news, drawing in a massive audience of sports enthusiasts who had previously known nothing about the SpaceCon scheduling conflict. The narrative of Darth Vader choosing a basketball game over his own fans quickly became a viral sensation, generating millions of views and thousands of heated arguments regarding the boundaries of acceptable celebrity behavior. While the online world was completely consumed by memes and fierce debates over creative fan interpretations, the actual athletic event unfolding inside the walls of the Frost Bank Center was reaching a historic and incredibly dramatic crescendo. The decisive Game 5 of the NBA Finals was not just any ordinary basketball game. It was a high-tension, legacy-defining matchup that had drawn an extraordinary gathering of high-profile global celebrities, elite athletes, and cultural icons to the city of San Antonio. The atmosphere inside the basketball arena was completely electric, with the intense pressure of a potential championship victory weighing heavily on every single possession. Hayden Christensen was ultimately just one individual in a heavily star-studded crowd that had assembled to witness sports history in the making. Looking across the premium courtside seating areas, spectators and media members spotted an array of massive names from every corner of the global entertainment landscape. Acclaimed Hollywood stars like Sydney Sweeney and Timothée Chalamet were seen enjoying the fast-paced action, while legendary award-winning director Spike Lee was present in his signature enthusiastic fashion, loudly supporting his beloved team. Other major entertainment figures on hand included the multi-talented Tracy Morgan, the compelling Giancarlo Esposito, and the veteran character actor John Turturro, all of whom had traveled across the country specifically to experience the raw intensity of this particular championship environment. Even international royalty was represented in the exclusive crowd, as Prince Harry was spotted taking in the high-stakes American sporting spectacle alongside various high-ranking sports executives and prominent business moguls. The presence of such a massive, glittering assembly of top-tier talent underscored the immense cultural significance of the game, explaining perhaps why the allure of the event was so incredibly potent, even if it meant disrupting a prior professional commitment. As the final buzzer echoed through the rafters of the arena, the scoreboard revealed a hard-fought 94-90 victory for the visiting New York Knicks, a narrow 4-point margin that successfully secured their very first franchise championship in more than 5 full decades. The historic victory triggered an absolute explosion of joy among the traveling New York supporters and a profound wave of silence among the local Texas crowd, leaving everyone in attendance, including the controversial Star Wars actor, to process the immense weight of the sporting milestone they had just personally witnessed. The echoing sound of the final buzzer inside the Frost Bank Center marked the conclusion of an era for the sport of basketball, but for the thousands of disappointed individuals remaining at SpaceCon, it marked the beginning of a prolonged period of reflection and public relations management. The narrow victory by the New York Knicks immediately dominated global sports headlines, yet within the pop culture community, the focus remained sharply fixed on the vacant seat left behind by the man who brought Anakin Skywalker to life. As news of the historic game spread, major international media outlets, including the Daily Mail, actively reached out to the official public relations representatives for both Hayden Christensen and the executive management team of SpaceCon, seeking a formal statement regarding the early departure and the subsequent negative reaction from the paying audience. The lack of an immediate, comprehensive response from either camp only served to fuel further speculation among industry analysts, who began openly questioning the long-term impact this specific incident might have on the actor's traditionally stellar reputation among his most loyal followers. For decades, the Canadian performer has enjoyed an incredibly unique and deeply supportive relationship with his fanbase, a bond that was forged through years of weathering initial critical scrutiny during the prequel era, only to emerge triumphant as a universally beloved figure in modern cinematic history. To see that hard-earned goodwill threatened by a sudden decision to attend a sporting event was a highly unexpected development that left many industry insiders wondering how the narrative would be steered in the coming months. To fully comprehend why this brief 20-minute appearance caused such an intense emotional reaction, it is necessary to examine the long and complex journey that the actor and his dedicated audience have shared over the last quarter of a century. When a young, relatively unknown actor from Vancouver was originally cast by George Lucas to portray the central figure of the galactic saga, he was thrust into an unprecedented level of global scrutiny and intense pressure. The initial reception to the prequel films was famously polarizing, with early internet culture and traditional film critics often directing harsh, unearned criticism toward the young performer's stylized delivery and the specific creative choices of the scripts. Throughout that challenging period, a dedicated core of young enthusiasts recognized the immense tragic depth and physical commitment that the actor poured into the demanding role of the fallen Jedi. As those young viewers grew into adulthood, they initiated a massive, widespread cultural reevaluation of the prequel trilogy, transforming the initial mixed reception into a passionate movement of absolute appreciation and nostalgic reverence. This profound shift in public opinion culminated in the actor's triumphant return to the iconic character in multiple high-profile streaming projects, where he was greeted with overwhelming emotional ovations at various global conventions. Having stood by their hero through years of critical storms, the community felt a deep, personal ownership of his career success, viewing him not merely as a distant Hollywood celebrity, but as a valued peer who had overcome adversity alongside them. This unique history explains why the sudden departure in San Antonio felt less like a standard scheduling conflict and more like a profound breach of an incredibly rare, decades-long emotional contract. The modern pop culture convention circuit has evolved into an incredibly intricate ecosystem where the financial stakes are exceptionally high for every party involved. From the event organizers who secure the venues to the individual collectors who save money for months to purchase premium access. Major events like SpaceCon rely heavily on the drawing power of iconic headline guests to justify their premium ticketing tiers, and when a headline star departs early, it creates a massive ripple effect that impacts the entire infrastructure of the weekend. For the organizers, managing the fallout of a disrupted headline panel involves addressing a wave of highly complex customer service challenges, as premium ticket holders naturally demand accountability when their expensive experiences are cut short. The situation highlights a growing tension within the modern entertainment industry regarding the commercialization of fan interactions, where the rising costs of autographs and photographs have transformed these gatherings from casual community meetups into high-stakes commercial transactions. When an individual spends several $100s for a single weekend experience, their expectations for professional conduct rise accordingly, leaving absolutely no room for spontaneous departures, regardless of how historic the sporting event next door may be. As the entertainment world continues to process the events of San Antonio, the focus of the community is already beginning to shift toward the future, where a massive milestone celebration is poised to provide the ultimate test of reconciliation between the iconic actor and his global fanbase. It was recently officially confirmed that the prominent entertainer is scheduled to appear as a featured guest at the highly anticipated Star Wars Celebration Los Angeles 2027. A massive 4-day global gathering slated to take place at the expansive Los Angeles Convention Center from April 1st to April 4th. This upcoming event carries an immense amount of historical weight, as it is specifically designed to commemorate the golden 50th anniversary of the original release of the groundbreaking 1977 cinematic masterpiece that started it all. The scale of the Los Angeles gathering is expected to completely dwarf standard regional conventions, drawing hundreds of thousands of international visitors, major industry executives, and the absolute highest concentration of franchise talent ever assembled under a single roof. The announcement of his participation was initially met with widespread joy, but in light of the recent Texas controversy, his upcoming appearance will now be viewed through an entirely new lens of critical anticipation, with many wondering if the actor will use the massive platform to directly reaffirm his absolute commitment to his followers. The historic 50th anniversary celebration in Los Angeles will feature an extraordinarily prestigious lineup of legendary performers, providing a structured environment where the actor will once again share the stage with the very pillars of the cinematic universe. Among the iconic personalities confirmed to join him at the Los Angeles Convention Center are the revered Ian McDiarmid, whose sinister portrayal of the Galactic Emperor has terrified and thrilled audiences for generations, and the legendary Anthony Daniels, the iconic actor who has brought the beloved golden droid C-3PO to life across every single era of the saga. Additionally, the event will feature prominent voice actors who have significantly expanded the mythos through celebrated animated series, including Michelle Ang and D. Bradley Baker, both of whom have earned immense critical acclaim for their versatile voice work in various spin-off projects. This gathering of diverse talent underscores the vast multi-generational reach of the franchise, ensuring that the 50th anniversary event will be an incredibly intense, emotionally charged environment where the history of the entire creative journey will be fully celebrated. For the Canadian star, sharing the stage with such esteemed colleagues at a milestone event represents the perfect opportunity to completely move past the lingering shadows of the San Antonio incident, reinforcing the idea that his appreciation for the community remains entirely undiminished despite a single evening of sporting distraction. Ultimately, the unusual chain of events that unfolded between the Freeman Coliseum and the Frost Bank Center serves as a powerful, modern reminder of the delicate balance that exists between high-profile celebrities and the passionate communities that elevate them to legendary status. In an era where every single interaction is instantly captured, shared, and dissected by millions of people across the globe, the boundaries of professional responsibility and personal freedom are constantly being redefined. The intense debate surrounding the actor's early departure to witness a historic basketball championship highlights just how deeply modern society invests in the actions of its cultural heroes. viewing their choices not just as isolated personal decisions, but as reflections of their respect for the public. As the dust finally settles on the New York Knicks' historic victory and the echoes of SpaceCon fade into the past, the enduring legacy of the tragic Jedi remains as potent as ever, a testament to the undeniable power of storytelling and the unbreakable bonds of shared imagination. The true strength of any massive fandom lies in its profound capacity for understanding, resilience, and mutual celebration. Qualities that will undoubtedly take center stage as the community looks forward to uniting once again beneath the